So the next effect that we need to talk about is reverb. Reverb is a very important effect. It's probably used on every track that you've ever listened to, and you've probably heard of it already. It's very common. It's most commonly used on the vocals, but it's also used on guitars and drum kits and pianos and strings and just about everything that you can think of. So what is reverb? It stands for reverberation, and when we add reverb within a DAW on a computer, what we're doing is digitally adding a sense of a bigger room to something. So if I was to add reverb to a vocal, it would make that vocal sound like it was in a cathedral or in a giant stone castle or perhaps a smaller room, yeah? But if you're recording, for example, in a room that is not very reverberant, that doesn't have a lot of echoes, then you're definitely going to want to add some reverb on your computer. It's a very generous effect. It often makes things sound better. And there are different types of reverb. There are chamber reverbs and plate reverbs and convolution reverbs and different options, but they all amount to doing the same thing, which is adding a reverberation, adding an echo after the sound, yeah. And it can have different characters, and it can really affect and change the sound of the source material. Reverb is an effect that, if you would like to get into producing, you're going to get to know very well, very quickly, because it's something that you're going to use on just about every session that you work on. Now, to show you how effective reverb can be, I am going to show you the saxophone, that would be the saxophone solo, at the end of this track without any reverb on it, and then I'm going to add the reverb, and hopefully you will see what a difference the reverb does make. So here is the solo at the end of the track with no reverb on it. And actually, I forgot to remind you, if you're not already wearing them, this is the time to go and get your headphones and really hear properly what it is that you're going to be shown. So that's the saxophone coming in there, and the saxophone player's doing a wonderful job. It sounds great, but it could sound better, and the way we would make it sound better is by adding some reverb. Now, in this case, I'm adding the Abbey Road Chambers reverb, and so this is an emulation of the reverb chamber in Abbey Road, and I'm actually using the vocal pad preset. I've made some adjustments down here. I'm not going to go into too much of that. It's not important, the specifics of the reverb that I've added here, just that I have added some chamber reverb, and have a listen to the difference that this makes. So reverb is really helping that saxophone out a lot there, and it's a crucial part of most mixes, is what reverb you're going to use and what kind of character that's going to give you. Now, I would recommend trying to stick to one or two reverbs across a session, because reverb really does add quite a lot of character to a sound and to a mix, and so you want to find reverbs that you like, that you think sound good, and then use those across a mix. Yeah, so in this case, that was the saxophone that we were just listening to. I'm now going to show you the harmonies, the vocal harmonies that we were just panning in the last lesson without the reverb. Who won't forget? So that's the source there, no reverb on it. And now I put the reverb back on, I play it again, and it sounds like this. So, enormous difference. enormous difference. It's worth mentioning as well that it's very rare that you would use just the reverb signal by itself. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm sending this signal to this effect channel where I can dial in how much reverb that I want. So that's it. I've set it where I like it. That would be more reverb. If I was looking for less reverb on that signal, I could bring this track down. And so that's an excellent way of controlling how dry, how wet you want the signal. Sometimes you would want it straight on the track. Other times I would highly recommend that you bus and adjust to taste. Yeah, because mixes that are too wet and too much reverb will just make things muddy. It'll make it difficult to hear clearly what's going on, difficult to separate things in the mix. So it can be your best friend, but if you overuse it, it can also be a real enemy to you. And of course, probably the most obvious place that we use reverb is on vocals. So if I was to solo the vocal, stare at the ceiling, crash, and wonder what they mean. What does it mean? The thoughts that come rushing back, trying to save me. I haven't lost that much since I was 18. So I get up. So what I've just done there is I've added the vocal. I've sent that into the reverb bus, and I've added some reverb to the main vocal. I have to say, when I tracked this vocal, I actually tracked it with some reverb right on there, so I'm running double reverb now. That's not something I would usually recommend, but in this case I might be getting away with it. Let's just hear it. When I wake up, the sun isn't shining. Stare at the ceiling, crash, and wonder what they mean. What does it mean? The thoughts that come rushing back, trying to save me. I haven't lost that much since I was 18. So I get up, think about dressing. Gentlemen, take your marks, it's gonna get messy. Everything needs to start. So there you can hear how much difference the reverb is making on that main vocal, taking it on and off. As I say, reverb can really be a great friend, can also be an enemy if you overuse it. So do be sparing when you use it, but reverb is an excellent tool to have in your production tool bag.